Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सघनललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Okay, there is some this one in the chat box. Yeah. So today is Bhagavatam. I was just thinking that this month being Gita Jayanti month, should we do Bhagavad Gita full in this month? So what do you all think? What should we be doing? Any any comments? Okay, if you're all okay, then we can. Okay, okay, good. So if most of you are okay, then we will go with Bhagavad Gita. We will also clear a good amount of chapters and a good flow of Bhagavad Gita we will get to have. Uh, okay, ठीक है. So we will continue Bhagavad Gita. So this is the fourth chapter. We are in the seventh sloka. So we saw that in the third chapter how the it ended with this note of the greatest enemy of the living entity is the lust and the anger, and this lust sits in these three strategic positions, that is the senses, mind, and intelligence. And then how to conquer over this lust is to regulate the senses using transcendental intelligence or spiritual intelligence. And in the fourth chapter, Krishna is speaking about this transcendental intelligence or spiritual intelligence, and he's speaking that how this this knowledge, the transcendental knowledge, is not something that which has been manufactured recently. So it has been coming down in parampara since millions of years, and Krishna himself is telling, I spoke this knowledge way back, to sun god, and then it was given to Vivaswan, and then Manu, Ikshvaku, and things like that. And because that knowledge is destroyed now, so I have yoga nashta parantapa. So it appears to be lost. So I've again come to give this knowledge back. So in that way, like he gives, and then he tells to Arjuna, I am giving you the same knowledge because you are my friend and a devotee, and that's the qualification to receive Bhagavad Gita. And in this way, like we have the preset, that's happening. And still even today's shloka is also a prelude to that only. Like this, after this transcendental knowledge will come. And Krishna is telling when all he will do this. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. It's a very famous sloka. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a prominent rise in the rise of a religion, at that time I design myself. Purport. The word Srijami is significant herein. Srijami cannot be used in sense of creation, because according to previous verse, there is no creation of Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Srijami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on scheduled, namely at the end of Dvapara Yuga, of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu in one day of Brahma. So this is a calculation. Now we see that how many Manus are there? There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, right? And then it is mentioned that namely end of Dwapar Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu. So each Manu has almost around the 1000 cycles of Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali is divided into 14. Means 14 Manus are there. So 1000 divided by 14 is how much? Anybody can quickly calculate 1000 divided by 14. It should be close to 70, 71, something like that. So that many cycles, no, that many millenniums are there. Millenniums means Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali. So there are so many 71, close to 70, 71 millenniums are there in the in one Manu's period. So here we are talking about 7th Manu, and in him, okay, 71 point something. So 70 odd, millenniums are there. So that is Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali. And amongst them, 28th millennium, in the 7th Manu, 28th millennium. If you see out of 14 Manu, this is 7th Manu, and it is also somewhere middle. It's almost in the midday of Lord Brahma. In one day of Lord Brahma, 14 Manus are there. It's almost towards the midday of Lord Brahma. Lord Krishna appears in the earthly planet. So that's a schedule that is there. So it happens every time. In every day of Brahma, Lord Krishna appears once, right? And he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations because he is completely free to act in many ways at his will. So that means he doesn't need to come on a schedule, but then no, it's just there. So he just follows it. That's all, out of his own will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas make one irreligious. Very, very clear. No, Bhagavad Gita is the words of God, and that constitute religion. And anybody acting against Bhagavad Gita, it becomes irreligious, right? So bulk of the people in the world, they don't even know what is there in Bhagavad Gita. So it's like 100% people are irreligious. No, most of them, 99.99% people are irreligious. In Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. No, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Only Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Therefore, the principles of dharma or religion are direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that highest principle of religion is to surrender unto him only and nothing more. The Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender unto him, and whenever such principles are disturbed by the demoniac, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam, we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna, who appeared when materialism was rampant and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. So here we see that this is another aspect. The Lord appears in different times to separate different things. So when Buddha appeared, his only purpose was to stop the animal killing and to advocate a religion of peace and things like that. So don't create violence. If you create violence, then you will all get so much of sinful reaction, and then your life also will be violent. So that's what is the simple teaching of Buddha. No, it's like ahimsa, paramo dharma, and things like that. So it is actually, Buddha is a incarnation of Lord Krishna, but then he didn't preach the highest form of religion. Highest form of religion is not just ahimsa, or it is just a moral principle, right? So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is just telling the exact opposite of it. He's just telling fight, kill people. So he's just ordering Arjuna to fight. So no, then it is the same Lord who appears. So there in Buddha, in one sense, no, Lord Buddha's teachings is considered to be atheistic. Why it is atheistic? Because it rejects the Vedas. So when Vedas are rejected, then it becomes immediately atheistic. So Buddha's teachings is atheistic. Though Buddha is an incarnation of Lord, Buddha's teachings is atheistic, no, because he reject the Vedas. So why did he reject the Vedas? Because people were misinterpreting Vedas, and they were doing animal sacrifices and animal killing. It was getting rampant. And Buddha told, like, no, forget about all these Vedas. Just first you become sinless. First you stop doing this killing and things like that, right? So Krishna appeared when materialism was rampant, and materialists, using the pretext of the authority of Vedas, no, they were doing animal killing actually. Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purpose in Vedas, people of demoniac tendencies still took to animal sacrifice without reference to Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared in order to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles of non-violence. Therefore, each and every avatar or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they are all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by scriptures. No, if the scriptures are not telling he is an avatar, then we cannot accept. Okay. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. So here we see that the Lord comes, and he speaks as much as the people can understand. He doesn't give the highest philosophy to everyone. He doesn't speak about Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita at all times, right? So in the incarnation of Buddha, like, he didn't speak about Bhagavad Gita. He just gave some substandard principles. That's all. Okay. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant, or himself in some disguised form. Right? So, the principles of Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna, and to for that matter to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. So Arjuna was a very, very qualified person, materially and spiritually and academically, in every way. Like, no, he was a very qualified person. So Krishna chose him to give the best of the knowledge, right? And then in this way, like, other people also can get this knowledge. Okay. 2 plus 2 equals 4 is a mathematical principle that is true in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and 4 statuses of social life, as will be explained later. So that is the Varanashrama. So 4 Varanas and 4 ashramas. The society has to be divided in that way and engaged in that way. So that is the sign of higher society. So now we have the classless society. Everybody are equal. That means it is all Shudra society. It's the lower no form of society what we are living in. Okay, so the whole purpose of the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. Right? So here we see that the yada yada hi dharmasya. So the Lord appears at different times and for different purposes, different missions. Maybe like it's little bit different from each one. So when Varahadev appeared, his job was to, like, or his mission was to re-establish the Vedic principles and like bring back the Mother Earth into its place and things like that. And he's called as Vedamurti. And then we see when Buddha came, like, there is a particular mission that he had. So all of them, they actually come for the similar purpose, to create Krishna consciousness, to get people closer to the Supreme Lord. But then their mission may be little different according to the time, place, and circumstances. Right? Okay. Text 8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Purport. According to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualification of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. Okay, before this, I just got a thought that in the previous purport, we saw that when does Krishna personally appear? Many incarnations of Krishna may appear at different times. When does Krishna personally appear? In the 27th or 28th millennium, in that, 28th millennium of the 7th Manvantara. So that is when Krishna appears. And in one day of Brahma, 1,000 cycles of Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali is there. And we have got the fortune of taking birth in this Kali Yuga, which is just 5,000 years before Krishna appeared. Imagine, like, lakhs and millions of years once Krishna appears, and in that span we have just taken birth just 5,000 years after he appeared. It's like a great fortune, actually, that we have got. Right. So with that, we will get back to this sloka. So we, and basically, like, Bhagavad Gita is so accessible. Bhagavad Gita is just there in some recent past, like Bhagavad Gita was spoken. We are really very fortunate to be in such proximity to Lord Krishna's appearance. 5,000 years is nothing in terms of how much time in once, like, Krishna actually appears. Right. Okay, so let's get back to this purport. So here Krishna is mentioning that I come for delivering the pious and to destroy the miscreants, right? And to re-establish the religious principles. So that is the purpose for which he comes. So we can see in the life of, in the pastimes of Krishna, that he had a nice time. He spent a good amount of time with his devotees in Vrindavan, and even in Dwaraka and Mathura. So many of his devotees, they had very nice association with Krishna, and then he could able to save a lot of devotees and things like that. And then annihilate the miscreants. He did sufficiently kill many demons, right? And then to re-establish the principles of religion. So he spoke Bhagavad Gita in this lines. So to re-establish the principles of religion, right? So in this way, like, Krishna actually comes for these purposes. So Prabhupada is starting his purport by defining who's a sadhu. He's telling a holy man, uh, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualification of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood as sadhu. Right. So the definition of sadhu will come later on also. Krishna will personally give the definition of sadhu. And apichet sudaracharo vajate ma mananyavak. Sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasitosi saha. So he mentions that even if somebody is externally, some shortcomings are there in a person, externally he may be a little bit irreligious, or no, he is not following certain principles properly or something like that. But then if he is fully applied himself to the thoughts of Krishna, and he wants to have the goal that he wants to attain Krishna, so then he is to be considered sadhu still. no Externally, some shortcomings may be there in his personality, but then his determination to attain the lotus feet of the Lord makes him a sadhu, right? So, and all that shortcomings, whatever he has, that will all be what is that kind of taken care of, or Krishna will manage those shortcomings over a period of time, or the purity of his practice will destroy all those shortcomings over a period of time. Okay, So, to protect the sadhus, the Lord is coming. And then duskritam, vinashayasya duskritam. So, duskritam means like the miscreants or the demons. So, who are they? And duskritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants or duskritam are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education, whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well cultured. No? So this worldly culture, what is this worldly culture is all about? So the culture, the worldly culture or material culture means like I will do my sense gratification, you do your sense gratification. Let's divide the sense gratification nicely, and let's not have any trouble amongst us. That's the whole this one. It's like two thieves, who are very well behaved and who steal the property of someone, and then they are very very gentlemen. They have a fair division policy, and then they don't have any quarrels, and they are like amazingly they are thick friends. What's the point? They are using a stolen property. So in that way, well cultured, well learned, all these things, materially, it doesn't matter much. It is not at all a qualification. The real qualification is that if one is trying to get back to the lotus feet of the Lord, all these shortcomings, if he is not learned, if he is not well cultured, all these shortcomings can be balanced, and all these shortcomings can be what is it, rectified. Okay. So as far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons of like Ravana and Kamsa. So this is a very important point. So three important things that is mentioned here: Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya dushkritam, dharma samsthapanarthaya. So these three things are mentioned. So Prabhupada is taking one of them now. Should Lord really have to come for destroying the demons? So he's mentioning, as far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons like Ravana and Kamsa. Only few of them get the fortune of getting killed by the Lord. So he doesn't all the time come to kill the demons, right? The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons. But the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees who are always harassed by the demoniac. So the Lord is not coming to kill the demons. That he can do anyways. He can just like by his by his desire, he can just cut one important nerve in the body of the demon, and the demon will be dead and gone. So it is not at all a difficult task for the Lord to kill a demon. So, but he is not coming for that purpose. He is coming to protect his devotees. Okay, the demons harass the devotee even though the latter may happen to be his kin, means that is his relative. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father. Although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa, she and her husband Vasudev were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than to kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Therefore, it is said here that to deliver the devotee and to vanquish the demons or miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the following um, verses, Madhya Lila 20, 263 and 264, summarizes these principles of incarnation. Shrishti hetu ei murti prapanche avatare se ishvara murti avatara namadare. Maya Maya thita paravyoma sabara avasthana vishwa avatari dhare avatara nama. The avatar or incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation. And the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatar. So avatara means not to come down. No, I'm studying that avatara means to come down. So it is not something that that has been created at that point in time. So avatara means to come down. There are various kinds of avatars such as Purusha avatar, Guna avatar, Leela avatar, Satyavesh avatar, Manvantara avatar, and Yuga avatar, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. Right? So Purusha avatar, so we all have been studying this, like Karanodakshaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu, that is the first Purusha, and second Purusha is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who is lying down within each and every universe, and from his navel comes the lotus flower, and where Lord Brahma takes birth. Then after that, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands into another form of Vishnu, that is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is taking his Shayana in the milk ocean in the pole star, in the Dhruva Nakshatra. Right? So, and he also, this Kshirodakshaya Vishnu also expands as Paramatma into every single living entity. These three are called Purushas, no Purusha avatars. Right? And then Guna avatar, we have Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. So they are called as Guna avatar. And Leela avatar, Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, no, they are all, no, they are called Leela avatars. And Satyavesha avatar, so we have Prithu Maharaj, we have Vyasadev, we have Narada Muni, no, who have been, who are living entities, but then who have been invested with a particular Shakti of the Lord. No, Vyasadeva was invested with the Shakti of writing the scriptures, and Narad Muni was invested with the Shakti of like pure devotional service. No, he is the example of the pure devotional service for everyone. And Prithu Maharaj was invested with the capacity of ruling. He could rule the world just like Lord Ramachandra could rule, right? So like that. So this is all called Shakti-Avesh avatar, a living entity, no, being empowered by a particular Shakti. Kapila Muni, I'm not able to readily remember. I can check and tell later. And then Manvantara avatar. So Manvantara avatar, every Manu that appears, no Sakya, what is it? Swayambhuva Manu, then Vaivashavata Manu. Like that, there are many Manus. Like in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus are there. So all these Manus, no, they are called as Manvantara avatar. They are also very, very empowered agents of the Lord. And then Yuga avatar. Yuga avatars, they come to propagate the Yuga Dharma. Right? In Satya Yuga, Lord appeared as Hamsa, and then he, what is it? Sweta avatar. Like, no, he was like white in his complexion, and he taught the principles of this one. What is that? Meditation. And then in the Treta Yuga, he appeared as Yajna. So Yajna, not only the process of Yajna. So the Lord appeared in the form of in a form to teach this process of Yajna. And in the Dwapar Yuga, the temple worship, no, that is there in the 11th canto. I will check and tell. Like it is, there is a particular avatar who comes and teaches the Yuga Dharma. In Kali Yuga, no, Lord Chaitanya, he comes and then he specifically imparts this knowledge of Sankirtan and the chanting of the names of the Lord. So in this way, like no different avatars, this Yuga avatars, no, they come to teach the Yuga Dharma. No, like that, the Lord actually appears. It's only Krishna who comes once in the day of Brahma. But then the Lord has been sending profusely so many avatars, no, so many avatars. They keep coming at every intervals, every cycle, right? Purusha avatars are already always been there, and Guna avatars are also always been there. Leela avatars, no, different Leela avatars come in different millenniums, and different Sakyavesh avatars come in different millenniums, and Manvantara avatars, Manus keep changing, and then Yuga avatars, no, they also keep changing, in different yugas. So in this Kali Yuga, we are very, very fortunate that we are just separated from the Supreme Lord Krishna just 5,000 years ago. And then, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came to distribute the highest form of devotion, Anarpita, Anarpita Charim Chirat Karna Yavatirna Kalo, Samarpayita Unnata Ujjwalarsam, Swabhakti Shriyam, Haripurata Sundara, Tviti Kadamba Sandipita, Sada Hridaya Kandare, Spurata was Sachinandana. So this is a glorification on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it is mentioned Anarpita. No, like it is never before given Anarpita Charim Chirat. No, Karunayavatirno Kalau. So this personality, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave such mercy, no, to everyone that is not being distributed, no, for a very, very long time. Right? Anarpita Charim Chirat Karunayavatirno Kalau. Samarpoyita Unnata Ujjvala Rasa. So that is the topmost form of serving the Supreme Lord in the mood of the gopis. So this was not revealed to everyone. No, it is when Krishna Lila happened, it was only the intimate associates of the Lord, they could able to have the association of Krishna in Vrindavan. But then how to get to that position? It was not taught then. No, it was just concealed. No, it's only very, very private. No. But then when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he actually taught the principles how to get to that highest stage of devotion. Right? So whenever Krishna appears only once in the day of Brahma, and then following him, Lord Chaitanya will come and he will teach how to attain that highest, form of bhakti. And we are very, very fortunate. We are just in the vicinity of these two great avatars of the Lord. So otherwise, it just doesn't generally happen. No, it's not something that often happens, right? Okay, so all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Sri Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. The Lord says that he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation in the age of Kali is Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world, from town to town and village to village. And Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is described secretly but not directly in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures, such as the Upanishads, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam. Right? So in the Vishnu Sahasranam, it is mentioned that Swarna Varna Hemango. So that sloka, I don't remember it exactly. So in that it comes Sanyasakrit, no? So that Lord who takes sannyas, no? So that's only applies to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So and then his body was like golden complexion, and then Varangas Chandanangadi, what is that? Sanyasakrit Samashanta, something like that it comes. I don't remember it exactly now. So that's something that we can see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu incarnation is mentioned in the scriptures, but then it is very confidential. It is not very open. Why it is not very open? Because the Lord want to come and perform a pastime as his devotee, and if people know that he is Lord, then it would not help his pastimes as being a devotee. No, that's why it was kept. It is kept in the scriptures also in a very secretive way, right? Okay. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of Lord does not kill the miscreants, but deliver them by his costless mercy. So just before this, we can see that Prabhupada himself is mentioning in the purport that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread Krishna consciousness throughout India, but then he predicted that this will go all over the world. And it is Srila Prabhupada who took this message all over the world, right? So even to have the association of Srila Prabhupada in the form of his literatures is a very, very rare opportunity. No, not so easily available. Okay, text 9. Janma karma cha me divyam yevam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mamiti sorjuna. So one who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, Arjuna. So here we see the transcendental knowledge is he is giving. Uh, So he's giving this transcendental knowledge, how to get out of this material entanglement, how to control one's senses. So he's mentioning that to understand the birth and activities of the Supreme Lord, if we do that, so if we actually do that, then we are going to, we are not going to take birth again, in this material world. So that's the specific uh, this one about the specific amazing aspect about this transcendental knowledge. So we have so many knowledge. People study about how did different animals came into existence, how did human beings came into existence. And they study about the history of the world. They study about so many things. They study about technical subjects and so many things they study about. But here it's clearly mentioned, if we study about the transcendental nature of the Lord's appearance and activities, then that's it. Like, no, we are not going to take birth again. No, we are just going to go back. So that is why the Leela of the Lord is also very, very important. We are studying philosophy in the form of Bhagavad Gita, but then the Leela of the Lord is also very important. So we will be able to understand the Leela of the Lord only if we understand the philosophy. Otherwise, we will hear it like any other story. There's so many stories have been spoken about. We will not be able to understand the truths behind it, or how to interpret it and how to actually understand it and things like that. So it's very important for us to understand the philosophy, the Bhagavad Gita. If we understand nicely, then we can rightly understand the Leela of the Lord. Otherwise, we will concoct so many different things. Okay. Purport: the Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of appearance of personality of Godhead is already liberated from the material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalist and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Lord is only partial, and there is a risk of returning to this material world. So, when the jnanis and the yogis, when they are also trying to get liberation, but they are not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. They are just engaged in cultivation of knowledge or cultivation of yogic practices. So with that, they will be able to get only liberation, that is just getting out of this material world, and that is not sufficient. No, that's not sufficient. It's like, if we have to visit a foreign country, first of all, we need to have some engagement there, and we need to have some finance that supports us. And if all these things are there, and if you have a job in that country or something like that, so then possibly you can go to that country and you can sustain for some time. But you just want to go there, somehow or other you cross the border out of India. What will you do there? So it is like, it's not possible for you to stay there, because currency is different, and then you don't have a job, and you don't have sufficient finance and things like that. So it's something like that. Getting this impersonal liberation is like you don't have any currency to get into the spiritual world. The currency to get into spiritual world is attachment to the lotus feet of the Lord, and you don't have that. You just get out of this material world, and what will you do? No, again you come back. So that's what happens actually. So, but the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body, and does not run the risk of re-entering to this material world. Right? In Brahma Samhita 533, it is stated that the Lord has many, many forms and incarnations. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of Lord, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers. As stated in the Vedas, that is Purusha Bodhini Upanishad, Eko Devo Nitya Leelanu Rakto, Bhaktya Vyapi Hriday Antaratma. Okay, the one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationship with his unalloyed devotees. Right? So many different forms of the Lord are not different personalities. They are the same personalities, no, and he actually takes different forms just to reciprocate with his devotees. The devotees have so many different ways in which they want to serve the Lord, and the Lord accepts different avatars or different forms just to reciprocate with them and to accept their service. Okay, this Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculation, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Right? So there are many people who are in search of God, who are still like trying to do so much of circus and trying to understand what is the absolute truth and things like that. So if somebody is fortunate enough, it is mentioned in the Upanishads that one person, the Supreme Lord, who takes many different forms just to reciprocate with his devotees. And here also we see that Krishna is telling that Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Veti Tattvataha. So, like my form, just before this, he told that millennium after millennium I appear, and then my form, my birth, and my activities, they are so amazing. Anybody who studies them, their material contamination is finished and they're going to get back to the spiritual world, right? So we have in this regard the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of Lord Krishna's pastimes. In the Bhagavatam, it is like huge, so many slokas are there, and it's like into 3-4 volumes of huge books are there. But then no, Srila Prabhupada is very merciful. No, uh, he has given us the summary of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam in the form of Krishna book. No, all these pastimes are very nicely explained there. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada is to mention that every day before going to bed, we should read Krishna book. At least a little bit of pastime of Krishna we should read. And Prabhupada mentions anyone who reads Krishna book like that, for him to become God conscious is like guaranteed. No, guaranteed he will get the highest form of devotion to the Lord. So it is so wonderful to actually study the pastimes of the Lord, right? So that's mentioned here. Okay. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the Vedas and of the supreme on the basis of supreme personality of Godhead, who does not waste time in philosophical speculation, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can, without a doubt, attain liberation. The Vedic version Tattvamasi is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the supreme, or who says unto the Lord, "You are the same supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead," is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of Lord is guaranteed. So, no, opposite of this, the corollary of this statement is that if we consider the Lord's form to be material, we are considered to be Pashandi. Pashandi means an atheist, right? So, an atheist is a person who calls the Lord's body to be material, and he also takes birth just like us. Maybe he's a little more powerful. No, that's it. Like, so then he becomes an atheist. So, okay. Uh, In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion: Tam eva viditvati mrityum eti nanya pantha vidyate uh, ayanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3:8. There is no alternative means that anyone who do not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey, or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship, right? So just by some scholarly study of scriptures, it's like licking the bottle of the honey. We have to open the bottle and taste the honey. So that opening process is to surrender to a devotee in the parampara, and to study or to understand the intricacies of the philosophy of Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna. So if we do this thing, then we are guaranteed to go back to the spiritual world. Okay, such emphoric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for costless mercy of the devotees of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. So, if we get the mercy of the devotees of the Lord, then we can get to understand a little bit at least about Bhagavad Gita. On our own, if we try to scratch or try to analyze this Bhagavad Gita will sufficiently cheat us. It is not possible to understand like that. And Krishna himself tells that Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam, no, Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartum Avyayam, right? So Lord Krishna says that no, this is Raja Vidya, this is king of all knowledge, and this is king of all secrets, Raja Guhyam. No, it's not just because we have got a copy of Bhagavad Gita. No, we will try to understand. We need to have the touch of a devotee, right? So that's very important. And we see, here these purports of Srila Prabhupada is very important because that is a very, very strong touch of a devotee. No, otherwise, the original slokas of Gita, Krishna himself told it is concealed. Don't waste your time. No, you cannot understand anything. Right? It requires the touch of a devotee, for us to understand. Text 10. Vitaraha vayakroda manmaya manupashrita bhavato bhavo jnana tapasa putamadbhava magataha. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger. No? Vita raga bhaya and krodha. So Vita means freed from. Vita raga means attachment. Bhaya is fear and krodha is anger. So that is being freed from attachment, fear and anger. And then this manmaya, mam upashrita. So one who is constantly thinking of the Lord, fully absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord, and mam upashrita. Ashrita means like to take shelter. Mam upashrita. No, taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Right? So it's really, really very amazing, this one. Okay, so you can post whatever is needed. So, here we see that. So Krishna is mentioning this transcendental knowledge that he is talking about, how to regulate the senses. The senses. One nice sloka is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andakar Yahan Krishna Taha Nai Maya Radhikar. So now in the last chapter we saw that the lust actually conquers or sits on the senses, mind and intelligence, and then it's very difficult for for us to control, and we have to regulate this, and to regulate this we need to have transcendental knowledge. And this transcendental knowledge is what? To understand the birth and activities of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And if we engage, that is the whole process that we are also teaching. What are we trying to teach? Like, we are trying to teach that we should chant the names of the Lord, right? So in that we are focusing on the Lord, and we should take darshan of the Lord, and we should hear the activities of the Lord or philosophy given by the Lord and things like that. So that's what we are doing every day. So when we do this thing, our senses are given an input of transcendental knowledge. And when transcendental knowledge is given, then automatically sense gratification is cut, right? So that's how this process actually works. Okay, so Krishna is mentioning that many great people in the past have got this knowledge, and they have attained the what is that transcendental love for me. That's what Krishna is telling. A purport. As described above, it is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Generally, people are attached to bodily conception of life. People who are attached to bodily conception of life are so absorbed in materialism that it is almost impossible for them to understand how the Supreme can be a person. Such materialist cannot even imagine that there is a transcendental body which is imperishable, full of knowledge, and eternally blissful. So, materialistic people, for them to understand this transcendental knowledge is very difficult. No, it's a leap of faith for them actually. No, they have experience of only people who are taking birth in this world and suffering due to karma and dying pathetically. So that's what they have an idea of, and how they can, even in their wildest of dreams, how they can contemplate about the Lord who's beyond all these things. So it's very difficult for them. Okay. So in materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance, and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep this same bodily idea in mind when they are informed of the personal form of the Lord. Right? So, like body means they know only one kind of body. And even if we are talking about Krishna's body, they will think like that only. Okay. For such materialistic men, the form of gigantic material manifestation is supreme. You know, so like the Virata Rupa. Consequently, they consider the supreme to be impersonal. No, so because I have body and it is so miserable, and the Lord is all blissful, that means He doesn't have a body. That's their understanding. No, impersonal, and because they are too materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. No, so they think that because of this body, I am going through so much of miserable condition. Once I'm liberated, I'm done with it. No, I'm not going to have any more body. That's their idea. So when they are informed that spiritual life is also individual and personal, they become afraid of becoming a persons again, and so they naturally prefer a kind of merging into the impersonal void. No, they have so much problems in their life. They don't want to be a person anymore. Right? Generally, they compare the living entities to bubbles of the ocean, which merge into the ocean. No, you see like so many bubbles that come in the water and burst, and then it's all the same ocean. So they give this example impersonalist. You see, like our life is like a bubble, and then if it bursts, we just merge with the ocean, right? So that is the highest perfection of spiritual existence attainable without individual personality. And this is a kind of fearful stage of life, devoid of perfect knowledge of spiritual existence. Furthermore, there are many persons who cannot understand spiritual existence at all, being embarrassed by so many theories and by contradictions of various types of philosophical speculation. They become disgusted or angry and foolishly conclude that there is no supreme cause and that everything is ultimately void. So Prabhupada is covering all different philosophies. Mayavad philosophy, and then now it is voidism, Sunyavad philosophy is covering. And such people are in a diseased condition of life. Some people are too materially attached and therefore do not give attention to spiritual life. Some of them, so that is like materialistic karmis, who are attached to karma kanda or karma yoga. No, not karma yoga, karma kanda. Some of them want to merge into the supreme spiritual cause, that is Mayavadis, or and then some of them disbelieve in everything, being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness. Right. So this last class of men take to the shelter of some kind of intoxication, and their effective hallucination are sometimes accepted as spiritual vision. So they just get drugged, and then they think that, oh, this is spiritual, this is something like very wonderful that's happening within, and they consider it to be spiritual. And when Prabhupada went to the West, he met such people, and no, they were all completely drugged, and no, they were thinking that they were practicing something spirituality. And Prabhupada went there and he gave them this Krishna consciousness, right? Okay, one has to get rid of all three stages of material consciousness: attachment to material life, fear of spiritual personal identity, and conception of void that arises from frustration in life. Right? So that means like we should not be attached to material sense gratification like a karmi, and we should not be afraid of the being a personality, after liberation. So that is the Mayavadis. And then the voidism is like Shunyavadis. The Shunyavad philosophy is Buddha's philosophy, right? So even Buddha's philosophy is like is the third one that is mentioned, void that arises from frustration in life, right? Okay. So to get free from these three stages of material concept of life, one has to take complete shelter of the Lord, guided by the bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulative principles of devotional life. So we are all asked by Srila Prabhupada, to follow certain regulations, following the four regulative principles: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no intoxication, and chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra. So this is something that the Acharya has given us, and like by doing this and practically being engaged in the service of the Lord, so then we have all chance, to get back to the spiritual world, right? Okay. The last stage of devotional life is called bhava, or transcendental love of Godhead. You know, so we have Prabhupada is writing the whole stages of progression in Krishna consciousness. It's a very very amazing step by step process. We have a course on it, and I'm working on that. So very soon we will try to offer this course to all of you. That is the Harinam Chintamani, the course on Harinam Chintamani. And in that, we will cover this portion of the stages of advancement in the devotion, and then the stages of chanting the names of the Lord. So, stages of advancement is Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, that one. And stages of the holy name is Nama Parad, Nama Bas, and Shuddhanam. So, we all aspire to come to the level of Shuddhanam and get to the level of the Prema, or the transcendental love of Godhead. So, and it is a technical process, and it is a definite process. If we follow the set of process that is there, definitely we are going to reach to this highest stage of devotion, right? So our acharyas is very merciful. So they have given all these details, step by step milestone in the progress of devotion. It's not some random sentimental thing. No, it's a very step by step process. And at every stage, the acharyas have defined, at this stage you will be facing this problem, and these are the solutions, and what to expect in the next stage, and in that stage what are the problems are there, and how to handle, and how to go to the further stage, and what all symptoms that you will see in that particular stage of devotion. It's all very very clearly mentioned, right? So it's bhakti is not a vague thing, no vague sentimental thing. No, it's a very very scientific thing, right? So nobody has ever presented bhakti like this, no. But then it is all there in our scriptures. But unfortunately, the foreign invaders and the many people like who came before us, so they all made us believe that no, this is all mythology. Even now people say like Hindu mythology means something which is myth, something which is false. So they have made us say this thing that our scriptures are mythology, right? So that is the pathetic situation, and people are okay with this, and life is going on normally. So all of us should be doing something to propagate this Krishna consciousness, to propagate this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, and to prove that our culture is scientific, and people should follow our culture. No, mass of the people now are following some other culture, no, either Western culture or no culture. So it is like no, our culture has gone completely bankrupt. No, it is all of our job to step up and then do something to revive this culture. No, it's so scientific, such amazing things that we are reading every day. No, it needs to be distributed to everyone far and wide, right? Okay, let's see this stages of bhakti. According to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1:4:15 to 16, the signs of devotional service is as follows. That is Ado Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Tata Bhajana Kriya, Tata Anartha Nivritishyat, Tato Nishta Ruchis Tata, Ashaktis Tato Bhavas, Tata Premabhyu Dhanchati, Sadhakana Mayam Premaha, Pradurbhave Bhavet Kramaha. No, this kramaha means like dire dire, like gradually. No, when we are a proper sadhaka, no, we will reach the stage of prema, that is the highest stage of spiritual advancement, and our goal is to attain the Krishna prem. And it is possible by the very same process of sadhana, of chanting the names of the Lord, studying the scriptures, and rendering devotional service to the Lord. In this way, we will definitely progress stage by stage and go to the higher stages. So Adav Shraddha means the basic faith that no, Krishna is true, Krishna's devotional service is true, and if I practice this Krishna Bhakti, I will reach the higher stages of devotional service, and I don't need anything else. No, that is Shraddha, no, complete faith in the Lord. So with that faith, we start the process. And with that faith, when we start, the second thing that happens is Sadhu Sangha. We should have the association of devotees, right? And then bhajana kriya, no, we should start chanting the 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra, and then following the regulative principles and things like that. And then comes anartha nivritti. No, anartha nivritti is, no, artha means meaningful, anartha means that which is not meaningful. So all that is not meaningful for the purpose of Krishna consciousness, gradually one by one it will just leave our no system. Anartha nivritti shar. Then comes nishta, very strong faith in the Lord. And then ruchi, no, taste for the practice of Krishna consciousness. So in the stage of ruchi, like if we chant the names of the Lord, we'll be in supreme bliss. No, we'll be like ecstatic in just doing the process of chanting, and just hearing about the narrations of the Lord. We'll be so, engrossed in it, right? And then ashakti is still more condensed form of faith. And then bhava is like that is when we will start seeing no little bit of our swarupa, no, our swarupa in the spiritual world. And then prema is a condensed form of no love of Godhead, and there we will more start living in our in our position in the spiritual world, and less in the material world, right? So we will mostly be no, it's like we are clear with what we are in the spiritual world. And no, it's just like you can imagine a person who's studying the final year college, and his exams are almost over, and some, just some few projects are there and things like that, and he's placed, and he'll just go walk like a king in the college. So something like that. So prema means like he knows like what he's going to be next. No, he knows what is his position in the spiritual world, and he'll just walk like a king in the world. And he doesn't have anything to do with the world, right? So just like a final year student in the college, who's placed already, and he's like bindas. He just walks everywhere. No, so like that, I'm just giving a very, very mundane example. But then prema is like very amazing stage of Krishna consciousness. Like that's the highest stage. All of us are looking forward to reach that particular stage, and this progression can take us towards that position, right? Okay. So translation of this citation is: in the beginning, one must have a faith, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master, and under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. So this is the bhajana kriya stage Prabhupada is writing, like, being initiated and engaged in devotional service. And by execution of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes free from material attachment, anartha nivritti, and attains steadiness, nishta, attains steadiness in self-realization, and acquires taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, ruchi. The taste leads one further forward to attachment of Krishna consciousness, which is matured in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love of God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of life. In the prema stage, there is constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, by the slow process of devotional service, pradur bhave bhave, no bhavet krama, like no krama, it was mentioned, right? So by the slow process of devotional service under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from the fearfulness of one's individual spiritual personality, and from the frustration that results in void philosophy. Then one can ultimately attain the abode of Supreme Lord. Okay. Oh, today we overshot the time a lot. Okay, so we will continue again tomorrow. So today we didn't read the other book. So tomorrow we will try to read. So thank you all very much for being part of this reading sessions, and try to connect with your known people, and things like that, and try to see if we can distribute some books. And this month we should try all our means to try to distribute Bhagavad Gita's as much as possible, right? Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much for joining. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.